Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm so happy that you're here. It looks like we have some comments already in the chat, and we're going to get to those in just a minute. If you are just joining me for the first time, my name is Heather Austin. I'm from ProfessorAustin.com. And of course, if you haven't joined my Facebook group, it's called The Career Club. And on this channel, I help you as a career professional find your dream job. So if you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe so that you're notified whenever I go live like this. And I'm super happy you're here. It looks like we have some fantastic comments already in the chat. Make sure when you jump in and you can see me, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, give this video a thumbs up, and also let me know where are you chiming in from. So today I'm actually in Utah. This is my home office. So it's nice and bright and sunny here. Let me know, where are you coming from? Where are you joining us from? I would love to know so that we can get to know each other better. Now, today I have a special live series planned for you. This is my very first time live on Facebook, or excuse me, on YouTube. I normally go live on Facebook, but I'm here today on YouTube, and I'm hoping to make this a regular live show so that we can get to know each other better here on YouTube. I know that it's a little bit easier of a platform to access. The chat section works great, so we're gonna go ahead and get started on some questions. So I asked my community what questions they have that they think about the most and what they need the most help with. So I have a bunch of questions that we are going to cover, and then if I have time, I'm going to jump into the chat and get to some of those questions as well. So I have some slides that I'm going to share with you. And then I know that this video is actually titled LinkedIn privacy settings because it's a question I get a lot. So we're going to cover that at the very end, LinkedIn privacy settings and how to keep your data secure on LinkedIn. I know that there's a lot of options when it comes to what should you even set in your privacy settings so that you are not sharing too much information, but you're sharing enough, especially if you are a job seeker. So again, if you're jumping in to this live and you're just joining us, let us know where you are coming to us from. Also, I have my team in the chat. So if you have any questions for my team members, they are there and they are willing to help you as I'm chit-chatting away. So let's go ahead, and I want to start with a question that I got the other day from Sammy. So Sammy says, do you recommend a resume builder site? And I love this question because I get it frequently. And I wanted to start first by explaining the difference between a resume builder and a template. So resume builder, if you've ever used any of one of those sites, and I have to be totally honest with you, I've never used a resume builder before. Simply because I haven't needed to use one. So I haven't found them as useful maybe as some people, but I want you to be able to make the decision for yourself. So a resume builder is a site that you'll go to and you basically enter your information and they kind of put your resume together for you, and then they spit it out in a format that you can use, maybe a PDF or, and I'm not even sure what format they give it to you in, and then you send it off to an employer. Now, I think the advantage of a resume builder is if you are you need an entry level position, or you just need a resume really quick for a one-time submission, I think it works well. However, if you plan on using a resume for more than one time or two times or three times, especially if you're like a recent college graduate, or you're someone that you'll be building on your resume over time, which is probably most of us, right? You probably want to stick to creating your resume in a word processing program on your own. Now, the resume builder site, the nice thing about that is you don't need extra software. However, if you want to add to that resume over time, like I mentioned, using some sort of template or some sort of document, either in Google Docs or a Word doc, and adding to that, and then using that for your resume submission is probably the best bet. Now, I am going to show you, I do have a really easy to follow resume template, called the 6-second resume. It's fantastic. It's easy. You can enter your information in there, and I'll show you some of the sections here in just a minute when I get to a little demonstration. But for now, that's kind of the advantages and the disadvantages. Now, I like to have full control over my resume, and a resume builder doesn't really allow you that control. It's basically up to them. So you can't do a lot of customization in terms of fonts or font styles. And not that you want to add too much pizzazz to your resume, but if you wanted to change the font style every so often, you really won't have that option in a resume builder. So good question, Sammy. I'm so glad that you asked that. Let's go on to our next question. This one comes from Beatrice. So Beatrice says, how do I address my bilingualism and how do I highlight it as a strength, especially while I'm writing my LinkedIn headline and my summary? Okay, so I loved this question because a lot of us, not me, my husband speaks Spanish. My kids are actually learning French. So this is something that they'll come up against as they're going into the working world. If bilingualism is necessary and important for the position that you're striving for, Beatrice, you definitely want to include it in your headline and your summary. Now, here's an example. You could say something like, and this is in a headline of a LinkedIn profile. You could say something like bilingual digital marketing assistant specializing in client services. Now, I want to say something about leading with the word bilingual. If it's something that the company is looking for or your ideal position is targeting someone that is bilingual, it's definitely important to put it at the front end of your title. Now, if it's sort of like a sub task or something that is not priority to them, but something that they would prefer, you don't have to put it at the front of the title. You could say something like digital marketing assistant with the ability to speak or whatever. You kind of figure out the title that works best for you. Now, in your summary, you also want to mention it and expand on it. And you can also talk about your proficiency in each language. So this would be how you've used your language skills before to help others solve their problems, or what are some of the things that you've achieved as a result of your language skills. So you definitely want to make sure you bring it into that. And here's the other thing. I want to take you over to LinkedIn really quickly because I want to show you how to add it to your profile if you don't already have it in your profile. So if I'm on my LinkedIn profile, notice, and this is just my my profile page. I'm not in the news feed, just my profile page. Notice I can click on add a profile section. And if I scroll all the way down to where it says accomplishments, this gives you a lot of other areas you can add to your profile besides, your work experience and education and some of those general sections. And if you scroll all the way to the very bottom, you'll notice that you can add a language. So the neat thing about how LinkedIn does it is you can type in the language. So let's just say I know Spanish, and I can type in my proficiency. So this is telling the employer, how well do I know Spanish? Now, if it's a class that you took in high school, 3 to 4 years, that's debatable. I'm not sure if I would necessarily add that. If you feel like you can speak to another individual in the language and you understand very clearly, then you could probably add it to your profile and your resume. So that's just one way that you would add it in your profile. And then Beatrice, I also want to show you really quickly. Let me go ahead and close out of this. I want to show you on a resume how you would list this. So I'm going to pop up, this is my 6-second resume. It's a template that is so easy to use. If you don't have that already, I'll share a link for you so that you can grab this. Now, this is considered more of an entry-level template. I do have other templates that are more like a professional executive level, but this is a great starting point. It allows you to type in your professional summary. It allows you to type in your work experience, education, and this is actually in a 2-page format. And the reason why is because it's there to show you what other sections you can add to your resume. Now, I know we're kind of off tangent a little bit here, but if you If you have, anywhere from 5 to 8 years of work experience, well, let's say less than that. Let's say less than 5 to 8 years. This is the type of format you would want to stick with, and you'd stick with a 1 page. If you have, 8 to 10 or more years of work experience, you definitely want to use a 2-page resume, but never more than a 2-page. So if I scroll down this template, this is just showing you some of the things that you can add. You can add professional skills, volunteer experience if you have it, awards and honors, professional memberships. And then Beatrice, this is the section I wanted to show you, is the language competencies. So this is, again, just here for you to decide what you want to add, or give you some ideas of what you can add to your resume besides work experience and education, right? So language competencies, and notice in this example, we're listing the language, and then we are listing our fluency with the language. So in Spanish, we're fluent speaking, reading, and writing. In French, we have intermediate experience in speaking, writing, and then we have a basic experience in writing. Now, this is just an example. There's many, many, many ways you could write a language competency. In fact, another way you could do it is you could actually just use a one-liner and add it to like a professional skills section. Now, I would recommend the one-liner if it's not a skill that is definitely needed. Like it's not one of their top priority skills. But if it is, and they want to see that breakdown, definitely include the language competencies section. So such a good question. Thank you for asking that, Beatrice. Okay, let's jump over to our next question. So this one comes from one of my YouTube subscribers, and she says, is it okay for a woman to sit cross legs during an interview? So I want to know, anyone that's here live, or if you're watching this as a replay, let me know in the chat or in the comments, what do you think? Do you think it's okay for a woman to sit cross legs during an interview? I really want to know what your take is on this. Is it okay for a woman to sit cross legs during an interview? And this is a little bit dicey, because you think, yeah, like that's appropriate, right? Well, I want you to think about something. When it comes to your interview, body language is a big deal. Okay, body language kind of tells us everything about anyone, right? That's really what we read more than we do verbal cues. So the last thing you really want to do is you don't want to like sit with your arms crossed. Now for women, it's actually suggested that you cross at the ankle. So rather than sitting with your legs crossed in the chair, if you're fidgeting and you're nervous, which a lot of us are when we are in an interview, it makes it look more noticeable when we're moving around and we're crossing our legs and we're doing this and that. Now granted, I'm in a swivel chair, which is another thing you don't want to be in an interview. But if you can cross at your ankle and, just place your hands in the natural position in front of you, then when you have to like move around and fidget a little bit, if you feel the urge to do that, it's not as noticeable and it doesn't look like you're moving around as much. Now, this is to my subscriber who asked this question. One thing you want to do, make sure you're doing during an interview is, you can use your arms and your hands to make certain points during an interview. You don't want to be too overboard with your hand gestures, but just know that body language is a big thing, and you really want to try and just sit in a natural state as much as you can. And then again, sitting up straight, you don't want to slump. If I'm slumping, it looks like I'm not interested. I really don't care what's happening. But if I'm sitting up straight and I make really good eye contact, this is telling the interviewer that, okay, this person's engaged and this person is ready for action. So I'm going to quickly pop into the chat a video that I did all about body language in an interview. And I think you guys will really like this one because it kind of walks you through some of these things. And I won't go into a whole lot of detail here. You can watch that when we get to that. Okay, next question. This one also comes from a YouTube subscriber, and this one is all about career fairs. So when it comes to a career fair, and I think what I'm going to do, because this is a fun topic for me, I think I'm going to make a whole separate video about career fairs. But when it comes to a career fair, and this person says specifically if you've already met with the company, or excuse me, if you've already applied for a position. So career fairs are such a great way to network and connect with other people. Now, normally at a career fair, there's someone on hand that can give you a resume critique, or they might even have workshops that are happening during their career fair. Take every advantage of these opportunities. And to do that, and especially the resume critique, make sure you print out your resume and have it available for anyone there that might be on hand for the critique, or if you can pass it along to some of the vendors or some of the hiring officials at the career fair. Now, I will recommend you want to make sure you dress professionally. So go in as if you are on the job, you're interviewing. You want to make sure you dress as if you are ready for an interview, and then research the company. All the companies that will be there, especially the ones that you want to apply for. Make sure you know what are some of the things they are looking for in their employees. And then the other thing you want to make sure you pay attention to is what positions are they currently hiring for. Now, I want to go back to the subscriber's question. If you've already applied for a position with that company, it's totally okay to mention that in the career fair and say, hey, I recently applied for this position. Do you by chance know where you are in the hiring process for that position? And then make conversation about that. And you could ask them, do you need anything else from me? I really enjoyed learning that this position does this. I think I can help you with this. So really make that conversation, turn it into a two-way conversation with that person so that you can get to that next step. Make sure you have questions prepared ahead of time that you can ask the individual. And again, this let me just say, whoever, anyone else that has an interview coming up, this actually goes in line with an interview. So not only are these career fair tips, but these are also interview tips. So have questions prepared ahead of time that you can ask them. Having a 30-second pitch available, like right offhand that you can say, is so powerful. Now, a 30-second pitch is basically who you are, who you help, and then why are you so passionate about the industry or the position. Now, I do have videos about all of this stuff over on my main page, so you can take a look at all of those. And then, just keep it professional. Look at it as if you are going to an interview with a bunch of people and you're and be open to learning as much as you can. And another really good thing, and then I'll move on to the next question, is I do like the idea of collecting business cards from the individuals. And then at the end of the career fair, do a quick debrief with yourself. Like get out a piece of paper and a pencil. And I like to say use a pencil and a paper because I believe it gets more of those creative thoughts out of you rather than typing it. But write down some of the thoughts that you've had about those companies. So maybe Jim at company XYZ mentioned this, and it's something you can send it to an email in him, or maybe Jane at ABC company mentioned that. And so really debriefing of how you can follow up with them after. And that's a really important part. So good question. Thank you for asking that. Okay, let's move on to Robin. So Robin asked this question, and I'm so glad that this question came up, and this is the title of the video. Do you have a video explaining how privacy settings work on LinkedIn? So I want to expound on what Robin said, because I'm sure you have felt the exact same way, because when I first started using LinkedIn, and as LinkedIn makes changes, I still feel this way. So this is what Robin says, there are so many options in there. I truly don't understand who can see what or why someone would want to choose to set each possibility one way or another. Now, let me know in the chat, have you ever felt this way? Are the LinkedIn settings, is that something that you have been confused by? Because I know for me, that is definitely something that has confused me in the past. So let me know in the chat, just give me a big, huge yes, that if you've ever had questions about the LinkedIn privacy settings before. And I want to kind of walk you through a quick little demonstration of the LinkedIn privacy settings. So Let me jump over to my LinkedIn page really quick here. And I'm going to scroll to the top because I want to show you how to get to your privacy settings. And then what I want to do is I want to show you what you really should be paying attention to. There's so many things in there, and I know it gets confusing. So I want to just kind of narrow it down for you. Now, I'm not going to cover everything because I want to let you guys out of here in just a couple minutes. I'm hoping not to go longer than 10:30. So let's see if in the next 10 minutes I can get some other questions answered and get this one under our belt. So if I go to the me icon at the very top of your LinkedIn page, let me go ahead. I'm going to take myself off the screen for just a second so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So you'll notice that me icon at the very top, and then it says view profile. Well, there's another option under there that says settings and privacy. So I'll go ahead and click on that. Let me see if I can bring myself back. Okay, there we are. Okay, so under this section, the two main things you want to pay attention to is you have account and then you have privacy. Now, under account, you have a couple of things. I'm not going to go again through all of these, but just so you can kind of get a general idea. You have the email address section. Now, this helps you decide, this is where you'll share your email addresses. I would say to have at least 2 email addresses on their records in case one of your email addresses you lose the password, or who knows. I mean, hopefully it doesn't get hacked. But anyway, if you need 2 email addresses there, you could make it a personal and a professional. I keep both of them professional because LinkedIn is a professional platform for me, and I just use it for professional use. So I have 2 separate professional email addresses. So make sure you get that in there. The other thing I wanted to point out really, really quickly here is the 2-step verification. I actually just started recently using this, and it's so fantastic. You want to make sure you're using this. Now, the reason why is because if you log in on another web browser into LinkedIn, or if you use your phone or use something with your, you're logging in somewhere different that LinkedIn's not used to seeing you, they will make you do a 2-step verification, which means they'll send you a code to your phone. You get the code and you look it up, and then you type it in, and then they let you log in. Such a great way to keep things secure. So make sure you take a look at that. Site preferences, again, on this one, this is just if you want to change your language. Feed preferences is a neat one. This is just for fun, really. It's making sure you are following who you want to be following. You can unfollow people if you want, or companies. It gives you suggestions for who you should follow. And that's going to customize your news feed. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but you can go ahead and look at that. Subscriptions and payments, this allows you to upgrade if you are currently not a LinkedIn Premium member. Partners and services, now I don't like to connect things that I don't have to. So I only have Twitter here. If I'm not a business owner, I really don't, I may not use that. Now, as a business owner, it's very valuable because LinkedIn posts to both LinkedIn and Twitter if I make a post. And then, of course, account management is valuable. I've had some people ask me, I have 2 accounts. What should I do with them? Well, my recommendation is merge them. So rather than having 2, it's really valuable to just have one. And if you're really fed up and done with LinkedIn, go ahead and close your account. But I wouldn't recommend doing that. Okay, privacy really quick. Let's jump over to the privacy settings. So privacy settings, oh my goodness. This thing is a beast. So of course, I'm not going to go through all of these, but I do want to take you through some of the important sections. Privacy settings are basically how others see your profile, how LinkedIn uses your data, and it also does job seeking preferences. So it is very valuable, but take some time when you have today or tomorrow or this week sometime, a couple of minutes to go through each of these and just make sure everything is set how you want it to be. Definitely take a look at edit your public profile. This shows you like how your profile is displayed. So let's say, for example, you didn't want your summary displayed for some reason. You can uncheck that. Or let's say you don't want your work experience displayed. You can uncheck that. Now, I do see a value in that if you're editing your profile. So if you're just new to LinkedIn and you're editing your profile, definitely you can put your, uncheck it so that it's not being displayed, and then edit your profile, and then go back and turn it back on. Okay, next thing, who can see your email addresses, who can see your last name. I've worked with very high profile clients before that their last name would have, if they showed their last name on their profile, it might have put their position or their company in jeopardy for security reasons. So again, here you can change it so that just your last initial displays if you wanted to do it that way. Just go through all these sections. Some of the other things you want to look at is how others see your LinkedIn activity. Now, it's really weird because a couple years ago, LinkedIn, anytime you made a post on LinkedIn, like let's say I had a work anniversary, or let's say I had I started a new position, LinkedIn put that information out to everyone. Well, they've changed it, which is kind of nice. So now you're not getting constant notifications. If you are getting notifications from someone, that's because they have set their notifications to be active. They want you to know, and that's okay too. But you can go ahead and adjust that here. The other thing, and that's just in shared job changes, so on and so forth. So I have mine set to no. If you want others to know, that's great. Go ahead and turn it on. How LinkedIn uses your data. Okay, so I do have let me just make a quick note about this section. When it comes to how LinkedIn uses your data, I don't like to share a ton of information. Like, for example, and this is kind of new for LinkedIn, it says sync contacts and sync calendar. I really don't want them to know my contacts. I don't need them to know my calendar. I don't have any of that synced. Now, there's also another section for personal demographic information. So this is where you can tell them who your race, your gender, if you have a disability, if you're a veteran. There might be some instances that this would be valuable. I have not added any of that to my profile or my social, economic, and workplace research. None of that is turned on for me. However, I would recommend that you use your what you think might be best for you. And if you want to share that information with LinkedIn, go ahead and take a look and see what information you might want to share. I'm not sharing any of that because I like to use LinkedIn to connect with other working professionals and to make posts and maybe write articles, but I really don't need them to know like all my detailed information, right? Job seeking preferences is a big one. So this will allow you to enter all of your information so that when let's say you're applying for a position on LinkedIn and you use their one-click apply, this is where you'll tell LinkedIn if you want them to take all the information and put it into the job posting application, which does save time. So decide on how you want to do that. Now, I am going to do another live stream where I go through what LinkedIn calls their career interests section, because that's a big one. But right now, we're not going to go through all of that because I want to show you kind of some more details on how we could use career interests. And the career interest section is basically just signaling to recruiters and hiring officials that you're open for new opportunities. You can tell them what opportunities you're looking for and so on and so forth. And in fact, let me know in the comments or in the chat if that would be something that you think would be beneficial. So let me know, is that something that you might be interested in? Is if I do a live stream on career interests. Okay, blocking and hiding. So blocking and hiding, this is really just, letting LinkedIn know. For example, on mine, I have my I have mine set to everyone on LinkedIn. So this would allow who can follow me and any of my public updates. And I have it set to everyone. You could change it to just your connections, and that's totally fine. Blocking, this allows you to see your list of anyone that you're blocking, which I'm not blocking anyone, but if I ever needed to, that list would be here. And then anyone or anything anyone that I've unfollowed, that list would be here and I could refollow them. So I know that the privacy settings on LinkedIn, I know it's pretty in depth. So take some time to go through that. It's an interesting section, but you definitely want to, especially if you're a job seeker, you definitely want to go through each of these sections. So really good question, Robin. Thank you for asking that. Now I do want to spend, I know we're at time, but I had a couple questions come through and I want to answer. Let's see who popped in very first. I want to say it was Trish. So Trish, if you're still here, I hope you are, or maybe if you watch this as the replay. So Trish asked about panel interviews. And she says, any suggestions? It's her third interview, which is fantastic. I love that you have made it to the third round of interviews. Now, Trish, when it comes to your panel interview, you want to make sure that you find out everything you can about each person that you are interviewing with. And I can't remember, let me just check this question again. I think you said you had a panel phone interview. And if I read that right, so what that means is you are meeting with, I'm not sure if they're all going to be on the phone with you at the same time, or if it's going to be like one phone interview and then you hang up and you go to the next phone interview, or if this is a group setting. And either way, just make sure that you know who you're going to be interviewing with and engage with everyone. So sometimes it's easy when we're meeting with a group of people just to engage in dialogue with one person in the group, but make sure you're making contact with each person and that you kind of know a little bit about each of them. If you can, get your hands on that information. Now, the other thing you need to be prepared for, Trish, is that the questions are actually more fast paced. So you got to be ready because you don't have just one person asking a question and then waiting for that silence and that person kind of writing down your answer or processing your answer and then asking you the next question. It's like going to be pretty fast paced. So be very prepared for those questions and that you can answer ahead of time, and do mock interviews, practice with friends and family. If this is a job that's really important for you, then definitely do that. Okay, before I let you guys go, I'm going to take another question. Okay, Valerie says, hey Heather, any advice for someone heading into their first job interview? Valerie, congratulations on your first job interview. This is so exciting. I'm so happy for you. Yes, first job interviews can be very intimidating because you've never been on an interview before. Of course, you want to follow all your general interview tips, like dress professionally, prepare ahead of time as much as you can. Valerie, you need to know the company and the position you're applying for. Make sure you're researching the job as much as you can, and what requirements are, what they're asking of you in the job interview. Make sure you have questions for them. And what I mean by that is, in fact, I have a video about that. I don't have the link right away. Maybe my team can pop that link in. It's 5 questions to ask in an interview. So some of the questions are, what is my team like? What is the team like that I would be working on? Or what does someone need to do in this position to be really successful? So just those general, like interview preparation skills. In fact, I think I even have a video about how to prepare for an interview. So maybe my team can link that one in the chat as well. So hopefully that helps you, Valerie, and everyone else who asked questions. I'm so thrilled that you were here with me live. If there's any other topics or questions that you want me to answer in future live streams, let me know. I would love to tackle any of the problems or concerns or questions that come up. It looks like we have a lot of really fantastic people here in the chat. I appreciate you guys coming. I appreciate all the questions that you have and that you've posted in here. And again, if you want to get your hands on, I want to show you really quick because I know, in case some of you don't have this, if you want to get your hands on the 6-second resume, in fact, let me show you, I have another screen. It is here, so I'm going to link this into the chat. This is the resume template. It's a very easy to use resume template, and what it will allow you to do is quickly put your resume together. So hopefully that helps you guys until we meet again next week. I am going to be here next week. Same time, same place. So if you guys can join me, I would love it. And then also just keep an eye out. Sometime in April, we have a 5-day live stream coming up. So this is where I'm going to be covering some of your most pressing questions or some of your biggest challenges that you have. And I think I'm going to tailor the live stream toward resume writing. So any questions that you might want me to cover during that 5-day live stream, let me know. And I hope to see you guys here again next week, same time, same place. And I so appreciate you being here. Thank you. And I'll see you guys next week. Ciao.